Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic is the summary and critical appreciation of Melodic Train by John Ashbery. So let's begin.
Melodic Train is an informative, symbolic, and meditative poem by John Ashbery. It gives a deep philosophy of life in a simple manner, which is typical of John Ashbery. The poem deals with the image of a journey through train, but the poet travels through the deep secret of human mind and tries to analyze the complexity prevailing there. Personal feeling of the poet about some of the touching realities and a furious blend of reality and imagination makes it an unforgettable commentary on the life around us. In short, apparently the poem is simple, but it has hidden philosophy which is beyond the reach of common reader. The start of the poem is dramatic and a bit suspenseful when we find the poet traveling through a train and is asked about time by a young girl. However, her watch is a dummy and naturally there is no conception of time on it. The poet realizes that the girl is wearing the watch just for fun, just as sometimes adults use pipe or wear cloth for fun. He then begins to think about the train and the way it travels across the valley. The train seems to him as a pair of pencil and ruler moving against the map of the mountain.
To Ashbery, he and the little girl are the visitors who watch the train as a symbol of curiosity. As the poet thoroughly meditates over the various phenomena related with the journey on the train, he also reaches an irritating aspect of it, the timetable of the trains, thus departure and arrival, the affair of the station, and other such events are not comprehensible to poet. This unclear system of trains creates a type of confusion and chaos on the station as well. When the train arrives at some station, breaking the norms of the schedule, there is sadness of the faces of the children and concerns of the grown ups. People look either for their relatives or taxis so that they may be evacuated of a tense situation. The passengers leaning forward for various taxi cabs give an image of tower of figures to the poet. Ashbery, being a poet and a sensitive person, has also noticed the nervous temperament of the people right before reaching the final destination. The passengers get so much anxious that they lose all the sympathy and respect for others. This thought makes him sad and he asks a very stirring question: why could not we have been more considerate? Further, the look on the face of the passenger make him more tense as they seem dissatisfied and frustrated. However, the poet ardently hopes that anxiety of these people would somehow diminish when they would reach their homes. After some long thoughts about his fellow passenger, the attention of the poet is soon captured by the bluish vague landscape. He gets absorbed in the beauty of the nature and forgets all that was going on in his mind for a long time. The poet tells us that by listening to the others can make us to lose ourselves and lose contact with our own selves. It is only by neglecting the hustle and bustle around that we can enjoy the real beauty of the town around. However, as the meditation of the poet and his various views about the entire journey goes on, perhaps he too realizes that the end or the approaching end of his railway journey, the idea of reaching his destination creates the image in which the people gather, tossing hats and preparing for welcome. However, all this seems quite too familiar to the poet, an event which has happened a number of times prior to this. A deep critical analysis of the poem suggests that a surface reading may mislead a naive reader to take it as a poem describing a journey by train. The poem is ambiguous and is quite symbolic. This ambiguity is created right at the start by the title of the poem, Melodic Train. Now, this suggests a smooth and rhythmical journey, but the content of the poem suggests that the title is ironical, as the journey is centered on chaos and frustration. In fact, the tension, anxiety, weariness. The poem is exploratory in nature, and the poet moves from known to the unknown, familiar to unfamiliar, and above all, from time to timeless. The opening dialogues of the poet with the little girl may seem an ideal talk between an adult and a child, but the underlying idea is the complicated idea of time in this world. The time for us may appear on the clock and watches, but we are not familiar with the broader and historical vision of time. Hence, in our life, we may be using the concept of time, but the poet here gives it a more complex and mystical ear. However, this aspect gives the poem a greater depth and touch of universality. Another aspect of the poem is the metaphor of journey, which might have been used for our stay in the world. Ashbery projects the world like a journey which is taken under nerve-breaking circumstances. The journey of us is a mixture of contradictory feelings. At times it seems to us like a heave, at other times it is too much for us. In fact, metaphorically, the comment on the haphazardness of the railway system is the concept of the universe. Moreover, while in this world man is in a constant state of turmoil and a thorough penetration of the worries round haunt his mind. The ultimate result of all this is frustration. The poet also gets a bit sad at the idea that these demands of the tense journey have made us prisoners to our thoughts. We remain so much occupied with our own selves that we hardly find time to look around and share the joys and griefs of others. That is why the poet compares the motion of these exhausted passengers with mechanical puppets. To him, they are Tower of Pisa figures who have hardly any motion and feeling for others. Here, the poet introduces perhaps the most important question of the poem: why wouldn't we have been more considerate? Thus, the above question becomes a milestone and a strong protest by the poet against modern psyche of the modern man. At a moment when train stops and the platform is crowded with the people, there is a mood of humdrum activities, and the poet feels the people to be my brothers. Yet the bond is superficial in such various tense mood. People come, sit with each other, but like huge glaciers remain far apart of each other. They carry their dull mechanical mood in public places and then move to their houses with the same mood. If this is man's life in this world, then it is really pathetic. To conclude, we may say that it is typical Ashbery's poetic style. The poem reveals his dramatic as well as narrative talent as a poet. The philosophy of the poem may not be crystal clear, but the message is very clear. In short, the poet has conveyed very deep thoughts in extraordinary simple language.